Hey, in this video, I'm going to show you 5 ways you can protect your knee from knee arthritis, even if your doctor has told you to stop running. If you've been told running's bad for your knees, or been told to stop running because it's going to worsen your arthritis, then you're going to want to watch this entire video, because I'm going to share the tips and tricks I've used with runners around the country, helping them keep running even if they have an x-ray telling them that they have arthritis. Despite what your doctors and friends have told you, running is not bad for your knees. And in fact, it might be the thing you need to keep doing to keep your knees healthy. Hey everyone, I'm Dr. Kevin Vandy, physical therapist and running specialist with Competitive Edge Physical Therapy. My team and I are on a mission to help keep runners healthy, to help keep runners running at any age, despite what other people tell them. Running is one of the best things you can do for your health. And in this video, I'm going to tell you how you can keep running and protect your knees, even if people tell you that you shouldn't, because running's bad for your knees. Arthritis is probably the last word you want to hear if you're a runner. When you hear the term arthritis, you think swollen knees, painful knees, a lack of range of motion, and I'm sure alarm bells go off in your head that if I get knee arthritis, there's no way I can continue to run. Arthritis is like the death sentence for running. At least that's what you hear out in the community. You fear that if you have an x-ray that shows that there's degeneration in your knee, that your running days are over. But is that true? Is that actually what the science says about knee arthritis and running? Truth be told, it can be difficult to know. When you have everybody telling you, why don't you just stop running? Your knee hurts, you should stop running, it's bad for you. Why don't you try cycling or swimming? Why don't you use the elliptical? Blah, blah, blah. That probably drives you nuts, because the one thing you want to do is run. But it might be the thing that's causing you pain, and it might be the thing that's giving you some fear that it's causing your knee to get worse and you might have to give it up. But before you take that step, let's dive into the research, because it may surprise you. Believe it or not, currently in the research, there is no direct correlation between running and knee arthritis. Running has not been shown to increase knee arthritis, cause knee arthritis. There's no study showing that. So if someone tells you, oh, running hurts your knees, it's not true. Sure, running does cause injuries like IT band syndrome, plantar fasciitis, hip flexor tendonitis. Yeah, very common. Running and injuries are very common, but it does not cause knee arthritis. Meaning, if you run, it doesn't mean you're going to have degeneration of your knee. It's not a 1-to-1 ratio. That yes, you might have some runners that have arthritis, and you might have some runners that don't have arthritis. It's not a direct correlation that if you run, you'll get arthritis. And isn't that the best news? Because you can tell your friends that they don't know what they're talking about. What's crazy is that non-runners have an increased risk of arthritis compared to runners. Let me say that again. People who don't run have an increased risk of developing knee arthritis compared to those who do. So the fact that you are running actually is a protection against arthritis, not a harm. Why is that the case? Why does being sedentary increase the risk of knee arthritis? Well, your cartilage, it likes to be in the middle. It doesn't like to be too far loaded, and it doesn't like to be underloaded. It likes to be moderately loaded. And guess what? Running is a moderate loading activity, if done right and with the right form. So running itself gives your knee cartilage, your bone, enough stimulation to stay healthy, enough nutrients. Running also lubricates your knee. There's fluid within your knee joint that as you run, it gets warm and improves your range of motion and sloshes around nutrients to make your knee healthy. When you're sedentary, you don't get that. And because you're not loading your cartilage, you have advanced breakdown of the parts of your knee that control arthritis, and it goes faster. Whereas with running, it can be a protection against arthritis. So there was a multi-center research study that studied 1,203 runners over an 8-year period. These runners were all over the age of 50. They all had an x-ray diagnosis of arthritis in at least one knee, and they had pain at some point. This study took an initial x-ray at the beginning to look at the joint space in the knee, which is how they look at how progressive the knee arthritis is. So they took an initial x-ray, they asked them about their pain, and they asked them about their overall activity in running. And then they repeated that again at 4 years and repeated it again at 8 years. And so they were able to get a very long look at over 1,000 runners, again, all over the age of 50. If you're watching this and that's you and you have arthritis, that's your group of people. What they found is quite shocking. They found that these runners over the age of 50 with arthritis at 4 years and at 8 years showed a decrease in knee pain, and also showed that there was no progression of arthritis at the knee. So running actually made their knee pain better and didn't increase the progression of degeneration at the knee. And that's over 1,000 people over an 8-year period. So that should give you peace of mind that running does not hurt your knee, does not progress arthritis, but in fact can help and might be the best thing you can continue to do to protect your knee. Multiple studies have done similar workups on those over the age of 50 with knee arthritis and have found similar outcomes, that running is a protection against arthritis. It does not progress your symptoms. And in fact, those people who run, again, have a decreased risk of arthritis compared to those that don't run. But the question you may be asking yourself is, so what are the tips and tricks you can use to make sure your knee stays healthy? Because one thing's for sure, if you run with form that increases the load at the knee, if you run with form that is not soft and protected and has enough strength, you can increase the amount of loading at your knee, which may or may not cause issues. But you want to give yourself the best chance to not increase the wear and tear of your knee. And these are the tips I've used with hundreds of runners from around the country to help them do just that. The first tip I tell runners is get a good warm-up. Now, when you're 20 or in high school or running cross country in college, yeah, you can roll out of bed, throw on some shoes and go running. Wouldn't that be nice now? But pretty much after the age of 40, 50, you're gonna need to warm up enough to get your body ready for running. So what does that look like? It's usually 8 to 10 minutes of a warm-up. You want to exercise your body with dynamic movements, so no static stretching, but things like skipping, hopping, band work, glute activation, some squats, some calf raises. You want to get blood flow to the key muscles of your body, your quads, hamstrings, calves. You want to take your knee through enough range of motion doing squats so it's prepared for the loading and running. You want to work up your heart rate so you're ready to hop into your first mile and you don't need the lag that usually occurs at the beginning where your heart rate's trying to play catch up. All those things make it so when you start to run, you can bend your knee, bend your hip, bend your ankle, and use your active muscular system instead of your joints such as your ankle, knee, and hip. What I found with runners over the age of 50 that do have some form of degeneration at the knee, when they first start running, we'll put sensors on their body and we'll look at the specific joint angles of their knee. And what we find is their knee flexion, or the amount of knee bend at the start of running, is less in the first half mile than it is after that. So what that tells us is these runners just need to better warm up. And if you can warm up better, you can decrease that first half mile of loading and have more knee flexion, which is going to allow you to use your muscles more, and that's going to protect your knee. So getting a good warm-up, 8 to 10 minutes, is tip number 1. Tip number 2 is you want to increase your cadence, or the number of steps you take per minute. There's been many studies that have shown that if you have a low cadence or a low number of steps per minute, what happens is you stay on the ground longer, and because you stay on the ground longer, you actually load the knee or increase the amount of force at the knee itself. Your quads get tired, your calves get tired, and that further puts load onto your knee. So you want to take whatever your average cadence is, increase it by 3%, and that sheer fact is going to allow you to decrease the amount of force per step and decrease the amount of pressure on your knees. So increasing your cadence is tip number 2. Tip number 3, you want to run every other day. Now, I know that might seem different than what you're doing right now, but what I've found in the lab with working with runners, for the last 15 years that have arthritis, is when you run successive days, your cartilage doesn't have a chance to recover. Now, that doesn't mean you have to be inactive in the off days. That means you could bike, you can swim, you can hike, you can strength train, you can cross train, you can take a yoga class. Be active. It doesn't mean be sedentary. You can be active. But adding miles in those off days may increase the lack of recovery in the cartilage, and that may lead to some minor swelling that carries through in your future runs. So making sure that you run every other day is a simple way to give yourself enough time to recovery and prepare for the next run so your cartilage is healthy and ready. Another key tip to protect your knee, reduce force at the knee, is to activate your glutes, your butt muscles. Those are big old muscles, and a lot of runners don't know how to use them effectively. You might be doing band work or bridges, but there are specific ways you can do glute work that helps you to offload pressure and force from your knee. You see, your glutes are a cool muscle because they help control the alignment of your knee so it doesn't fall in and out. They help take pressure off the knee by unloading your quad and unloading your calf. And they help you utilize your core and your trunk to develop power in your running stride. So when we get runners in our lab to use their glutes, we see a drop in their landing forces every time they take a step. If you think you take 1,500 steps a mile, the more pressure you can reduce from your knee by using other muscles, the better. So what does that look like? I would use mini bands, elastic bands around your knees. Get a good glute warm-up prior to your run. You prime your brain to know where your glutes are in the run. You want to go through activation where you're holding drills or moving through full ranges of motion to train that muscle to be prepared for the running activity. And then you want to do drills in running specific positions that utilize your glutes so you can develop that pathway for running when you go out and run. So it's not just an exercise, but it's something you can actually transfer to running itself. And real quick, guys, if you want some help with what exercises to do, the exercises I use to help runners in our lab activate their glutes, get stronger, improve their cadence, decrease the amount of pressure per step, increase cadence. If you want help with that, I've created a program called the Running Blueprint Program. There's a link to the program in the description below. Go and check it out. It's a comprehensive program where you'll get the exact exercises you can do to bulletproof your knee against arthritis. And if you sign up, you're also going to get access to me. There's 2 live coaching calls every month. You can ask me all your burning questions, walk me through your exercises. I can look at your running form. It is the best program I can design to help you stay healthy, keep your knees healthy. Again, it's called the Running Blueprint. Click the link down in the description below. All right, the final tip for protecting your knee with running is reducing overstride and reducing the amount of heel strike. Now, I'm not a big proponent of switching to forefoot strike running. That's a big aggressive change, but I am a proponent of if you overstride, if you reach your leg too far out in front of your body, you want to move that landing back. Why? When you land too far out in front of your body, your knee is normally straight upon landing, and that straight landing adds pressure to your knee each step you take. So increasing your cadence and pulling your foot back so you're landing right underneath your body can make a big difference at offloading your knee and reducing forces at the knee to protect your knee cartilage. So those are the tips and tricks I've used over the last 15 years to help runners all around the country, all around the world, improve the way they run to protect their knees long term. Again, guys, let's put the controversy to bed. Running is not bad for your knees. Running does not cause arthritis. In fact, compared to people who don't run at all, runners have less of a chance of developing arthritis. And even based on studies of thousands of runners, they found that if you can continue to run and run well, you can actually decrease your pain without increasing the arthritic symptoms of your knee. I hope that's good news for everyone. I hope I've taken this big controversial topic of whether running is good or bad for your knees, put it to bed. You can tell your friends, doctors, no, I'm going to continue to run, and here's why. All right, guys, that's it for today. Hope you enjoyed this video. Hope you got value from this video. Hope you got inspired by this video to continue to run even if you do have arthritis. And until next time, guys, train smarter and perform better.